All right, welcome back to SK Hobbies AZ and I am Stitch. And on this episode, we have a new controller for the channel. This was sent by Radiolink, and we've got, you called it the RC6GS. This is the V3. You're not going to want to miss this unboxing and review, so stay tuned. All right. We couldn't wait on this one. We've already got it out of the box. We've messed around with it a little bit. So now let's get into the dirty. Let's get this out of the way. We've got the controller right here. And what else is in it is you got a manual. It's got, and its color and everything is all tells you everything you need to know about it. But if you go to their website, you can download a digital copy. And if you're a guy like me, I like to blow them up nice and big and look at them on the screen and go through all of the different options. And we're going to talk about some of the options that come on this bad boy. You also get a nice lanyard in it. And you get this 7-channel receiver. So this is a 7-channel, and we're going to talk about the different channels that are on it. But you got these two awesome antennas. 7 channels, and then you also get this little adapter with it. So what this adapter does is you put this in between your ESC and your battery, and then it comes with a JST connector that goes right into this port right here. So it goes right there, plugs in just like that. And now when you have this installed in here, you can read the battery voltage of your battery and your RC right here on your Radiolink. So let's go ahead and get this out of the way, and then let's talk about this controller first. So, like I said, it's a 7-channel controller. You got your channel 1, your channel 2 is your trigger. So channel 3 through 7 is all the different doohickeys on here. So you got your 3-position toggle switches. You got 2 of them there. You have a switch on either side right here, these guys. You've also got a nice little rotary dial. You have switch D, which is right here, and then you have another momentary switch up here. On the other side, this is your on switch. You also have a USB-C port right there that you can plug in for firmware updates. And then this is VR capable. So with that, you can mount your VR device right up on the top of this and go. It does have an external antenna like this. It's not like the Fly Skies where they're kind of built into the controller. But the range on this guy, you can get 600 meters with this. That is 6.5 football fields long. The Fly Skies, 300 meters is your range. So you can get twice as much out of this bad boy. And we're going to test that out in another video. We're going to do a whole video on testing out the range of this. I just got to figure out an area to go that we can get that 600 meters. And we will get to that. So before we turn it on, I've already got one installed in here, but it comes with this nice little battery tray. But you can also put in a LiPo. So it is a JST style connection that goes in there. And what I'm running on it right now is one of my SCX24 batteries, of all things. It plugs right in because I use JST on it. And it fits in there. And I've got a load of them. And I always carry them with me. So when you actually order these batteries, it comes with this little foam piece. And that foam piece actually fits right in there perfectly. And you put your cover on. Get that on there like that. And you got your cover on and you don't got no rattle. So that's a good quick fix. I'll put a link to these batteries down in the description. Plus they do make, because you can go 2 to 4S on this. And I'll put a link down in the description on the batteries you can pick up for this too. Also where you can pick up one of these controllers. So this battery pack, it is running on a JST2. And if you guys want to see how that looks in there, if we get all of this out, pull out that battery. You take your JST, right? You get your JST connector plugged in. This guy just kind of sets right back in there, just like that. Does take 6 AA batteries. And then, bam, you turn it on, and that's your home screen. Now, it's kind of cool. It's pretty simple and straightforward on the home screen. As you pull your trigger, you can see your throttles changing. As you turn the steering wheel, you see that change. It gives you that 9.4 volts up on the top of the screen, and it also tells you the model number on what we're on right now is Model 1. That 9.4 volts is actually your voltage of your battery inside of this controller. Now, let's put the LiPo in. Get your LiPo back in there. Like I said, I'm using the SCX24 LiPo battery. It's freaking amazing. It's only a 2S battery, but for testing purposes, I don't have one of the actual battery packs that you can get for these things, but it actually makes the controller pretty light. And on top of that, I've got plenty of those. But you turn that on, and now you can see we got 7.7 volts right there. And everything still works. We pull the trigger, moving that, and your steering wheel. But all right, let's go over and look at some of the menu options that we have. I'm going to get you on my overhead, and we'll walk through some of that, so stay tuned. All right, so now we got the controller set up here where you guys can see the screen. So if you look here at the bottom, starting right here, you got your exit, you got your decrease, your increase, and then your enter key. Now, you could press any of these keys, but you press the exit, it brings you into here. So if we exit out of that, you've got your trigger or your throttle, right? Your forward and reverse. You have your steering on the side where it kind of shows you that. So that's kind of how your screen is set. You see you got the 7.7 volts, which means we've got the LiPo battery installed in here. We are set on Model 1, which we'll talk about how we can change between the different models. And hit that exit button, you see we got channel 2 through 7 here. So with channel 2 is your throttle right here. Okay, and then right here is your dial. So as you turn your dial is your channel 3. That's going to come in handy when we start setting our cruise control, which we'll talk about that setting here too. You've got channel 4 is your momentary switch right here, and that switch is right here. That's channel 4. Channel 5 is your first toggle switch right here. This is channel 5, and that's a 3-position switch. If you have it in the center, you see that there's nothing selected. You press forward on it, it goes plus 100. You press reverse on it, it goes minus 500. Then we set that back to 0. Then you go to the next toggle switch, which is right here. It's the one up forward. That is your channel 6 right there. If we hit the increase button, right, it brings us to what channel 7 is. Channel 7 is this one right here, and that is this button right here, or your switch D. So that's another momentary switch. So you got 2 momentary switches. You got channel 7 and channel 4. And we can go through and we can actually change those selections. So you could select really, this is your default setup, but you can go and select which button you want to which channel. All right, so like I said, you know, it's a 7 channel. You got 600 meters of range. The modulation model is kind of old. It's the GFSK. It does have a 128 by 64 resolution LCD backlit screen. And this controller is designed for cars, boats, and robots. So operating voltages between 4.8 and 16.8 volts. Does require 6 AA batteries, or you can use the 2S to 4S LiPo battery. The frequency range is on the 2.4 gigahertz, and it does have low voltage alarm support. Model memories, you can actually have up to 30 models on this. So we will start looking at that. All right, so now to get into the other menu, you got your exit and your enter button. If we press and hold both of those, it brings us up in here where we can select our language. So if we click on that, we can select English or Chinese. We select that and hit exit. It brings us back here. Now, if we hit the increase button, it brings us to models. So if we hit that and hit enter, we can cycle all the way down to model 30. It's not round robin, so if you want to go back, you've got to go all the way back up. But you can see up here at the top where it has the 01/30, it shows that model. If we hit enter there, we now have selected that model. So from there, we're on model 1. So if we hit the back button, we can go down to the next one, EPA. Now what EPA is your endpoint adjustments. So when you're performing a left or right steering angle adjustments, your throttle, high side, and your brake side operations, the amount of adjustments, a channel 3 servo, setup, whatever you're doing, you're going to do this all through here. So you got your switches, what are set to null. Your steering, the ST, you can see is, set at maximum 100% on either side. You can adjust either side of those. If we keep hitting the increase, it'll step us through everything. And you got all of your channels listed here. So you can adjust endpoints on any of them. Now, if we go back and we go to the next one, so you got the step X. If we hit enter there, the STEXP, or what I call the step X, that's your steering exponential. So the functions used, you can change the sensitivity of your steering servo from, around from the neutral, both end positions. So basically it's your exponentials on your steering. So you can adjust that curve here by your percentages, and all you got to do is hit enter here. It's flashing. You can start changing that value and go either way. So if we exit back out of that one, let's go to the next one. So you have the STSPD, and that is your steering servo speed delay. Now, if we enter into that one, turn and then return. So that's your turn direction and your return back to the original direction. So quick steering operations will cause momentary, understeer, loss of speed or spinning. This function is effective in this case, so you can help reduce that. If we go back, we got our next one, which is the TH EXP. Now that's revolving around your throttle exponential. So with that function, you're throttling at high speeds or braking side directions, your servo operations, you want it quicker or milder. It has no effect on the servo's maximum operation. So if you're using this like on nitros and stuff, it doesn't have effects of that, but it is your exponentials for your throttle. If you enter into that one, you've got your forward curve, your vertical curve, your forward exponentials, and that has all kinds of different ones, your brake and everything. So some of this stuff we will probably be messing with here soon. We have your throttle speed delay, which right now that's off, but you're able to actually turn that on And if we were to actually turn that on and hit enter, it starts to flash, and then you increase it. Now you can change that. Now there's different speeds you can cycle through. You got your high and your low side. But we're going to go ahead and leave that off for now. We'll hit enter and we exit it out. So if we go down to the next one, now we have your ABS. So if we enter into that, you have all kinds of different freaking options on this. You can cycle through and different stuff. And we'll get more details into this when we start setting that one up. So if we go ahead and hit exit there, we step down, you have your acceleration. So this is your throttle acceleration, and it moves that characteristics of the neutral position. So you can help center your throttle. Then you have your idle up, which is for your engine start. And then if we exit out of that, you have all of your sub trims. So you want to sub trim and set your servos. You have an area to do that. And if you select it, you hit increase, it goes positive. And we'll see how far it goes. So there you go. It goes all the way to a negative 100. And I'm assuming it probably goes all the way to positive 100. There you go. So you got 100. All right. So with this, if we select that one, we can adjust these. Increasing goes positive, decreasing goes negative, and those are adjustable to a plus or minus 100 on each. So you got a lot of different increments that you can do there. All right, let's get out of that one. Now this one here is where you can change your steering or any of your channels to reverse it. You can have normal or you can have it reversed. So like say your servos, your steering servo is reversed and everything, you can come in here, hit enter, hit increase or decrease, either side, it'll reverse that. So that's a good function to have. So your next one is your dual rate. So you have your steering and throttle dual rates here. So if we enter into that one, you have that and including all of your other channels. So if you cycle down, you go all the way to channel 7. So this next one is your ATL, or it's your brake side adjustment. So this function is, to set the effectiveness or strong and increase that value when you're braking. So this is really good for crawling. You can set that increased braking, or if you want a lighter brake, you can, turn that down. So now we get into the PMIs. Now the PMIs are your programmable mixers. So you have several of them that you can get into right here. You've got 2 of them. You got PMI-X1, PMI-X2. This function allows you to apply mixing between the steering, throttle, and the rest of your 7 channels. So when you set them, you set it the same setting, PMI-X1 and PMI-X2 to get that programming. So in each one of them, when you enter it in, you can see you've got your different positions. You can INH, which means it's disabled, and then on means you turned the function on. So you got that, and then if you go down to this type, switch to controlling mixtures, you can set it to SWA, SWB, SWC, SWD, or locking modes. So all of this correlates. If I move this out of the way here real quick, and you bring this up, you've got this in your manual. So you can see you've got SWA down here, you've got SWC, you've got SWB, SWD. It's all depending on those buttons and what you want to set them at. So depending on which one you want to set, that's what you're going to select in this menu. We're going to actually install this into one of my my crawlers because it's the one that has the most settings in it. So if we exit that back out, we've got that. You can get into aux channels, which, it shows you what is set for which. Channel 3 is the VR, which is this little dial. Channel 4 is set to SWA. Channel 6 is set to SWC. And you can go through and change all of those. Right here is where you can enter in and you can name your model. Well, if you don't want it, named Model 1 and you want it to name your specific rig, it looks like you've got 7 characters that you can change there, and you can set that up to mean something for yourself. Alarms is what you can set. You want your transmitter to alarm at. For your external voltage would be like your battery voltage. Your TX is your transmitter, which is the receiver or your controller right here. You can set that up. You set your receiver voltage, what you want that to shut off at, and and you can set your rates. Coming down here is your gyro function you can set on. Then you have FS, which is your fail safe. If we enter into that, so you got all your different fail safes. What your fail safe is for is you can set an output value for each channel when the receiver loses control, that it sets the servos back to its certain position. And your ID seed, that's when your transmitter and multi-receivers that have been successfully paired are powered on at the same time. One of the receivers can be selected to control throttle and ID seed functions while the other receivers are in standby state. What this means to us as an operator is, say we got like 4 different rigs and we don't want to have to go through and rebind each one. We can go ahead and seed all of those, and it's just change real quick between modules and let them still be connected. It's just we're only going to use one at a time. And we might actually try that function out here in a later episode. So we get down to DSC. There's 3 modes to the DSC. It has to do with the different axes for FPV, utilizing your goggles. So I don't really have any VR goggles, so we won't really be using this step, but this looks like a really cool feature that hopefully we'll get to test here soon. You got your timers. You can set timers and alarms for doing laps and all that kind of stuff in here. And then you can, of course, reset your entire controller. But all right, let me go ahead and bring you guys back up front. So next thing we're going to do is we're going to get this installed in one of the base camps so we can test out all the different servos and see how this thing works. So with that being said, let me go ahead and get it installed in the base camp and I'll show you guys. All right, so we got it installed into the base camp. This is going to be in my wife's base camp. You see, we just mounted it right there. This doesn't have a receiver box for it on this crawler, so it's just double sticky back taped right into there. Now this receiver is already considered waterproof. I guess there's some people that have dropped them in a cup of water and they still work. So we have two servos. One of them is direct powered. We're running a 777 Reefs, so we got that plugged into channel 1, and we have it in the third slot there with the ESC plugged into the 2nd slot. Now, for the winch is not direct powered. It is the Reefs 800IS, and that one is plugged into slot 6. The reason why is because we're going to use this little switch right here to control the winch. I was thinking I was going to use these other guys, but we're just going to use these 2 switches up here. So we have it set on one switch, so if it's a 3-position switch. If it's pressed forward, it should go out. If it's centered, it should stop. And if we bring it backwards, it comes in. Let's go ahead and turn it on. Now we are running a 4S pack in here. I just picked up these 4S packs. I've not used them, but I know this rig is capable of running the 4S because of the Copperhead 10 ESC, and we're running the Holmes Hobby Polar Pro in here. It's fully capable of doing it. So let's go ahead and we'll turn it on. So steering wise, we are super movable. Throttle. Really punchy on 4S, but you can get it super slow. All right, so now if we look at the winch, I haven't adjusted any settings on it. I just plugged it into 6, but look at that. Back to the center position, bring it back in. And there we go. Now I do know it'll keep pulling it and it'll rip that little eyelet off if I go too far into it. So we'll look at those settings going in. Now, with installing these, you got 2 different antennas. It is recommended by the manufacturer you don't run them the same route. So we're going to run this over here by the IS servo, and the other one's going to go over here by the battery connector, and we're going to connect those up. You're supposedly going to get the max amount of range doing it separate. So now the next thing we need to kind of look at is what we're going to do for setting cruise control. Let's go ahead and dive into that. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to set the cruise control. So let me get you guys over here at the controller a little bit. We're going to move this kind of out of the way for now to where you guys can kind of still see it on camera. So in here, if you press both of these buttons, it brings you there. Now, you're going to go to the PMX01. So now if we go up and we turn that to on and then hit the back button, now we're going to go down to switch, and we are going to set that to lock A. And what we're going to do is we're going to set this button here to turn on and off cruise control. And then with the dial right here, we're going to be able to adjust how fast we want it to go. So first we've got to lock in switch A, right? We want it locked. Then we're going to go over to positive here, or position. And we're going to change that to up. Now you can see that currently the mode is off. It changed it from on to off. But if I hit the button, now it's on, now it's off. Then, so we go down to master and we hit enter there, and we're going to change that to channel 3. So the master is channel 3 because on channel 3 we have the VR knob set there. So now if we go down to the slave and we hit enter there, we want that set to throttle. And we hit enter there. So now what's going to happen is that whenever we hit the lock it or the A button, it turns on. We hit the A button off, it turns off, and then we can adjust it here. So if I turn that all the way down, right now we have it turned off. Now, if I come over here and bring this back over, right? We got the steering, we got some throttle, right? Now, I have the A button off. I can turn that dial, nothing happens. If I press it, look at that. Currently, right now, we're going in the reverse direction. But if I go through, turn it the other way, now we're going... Now we're going forward. And I can turn that off. decide I want to cruise at that percentage. But now, go crawl all the way up to 50%. All right, let me go ahead and bring you guys back up here. All right, so this controller is amazing. You know, I was a Fly Sky fan until today. And then now I've got one of these Radiolinks. It's awesome. I can't wait to get more. I'd like to try the next model up from this that has more capabilities with it. It feels very comfortable in the hand. It's very lightweight. It's got this dial function. This is amazing. I've never had cruise control before, but now I got cruise control on my crawler. Some of the other things you can do is you can set your endpoints. You go in there and you adjust your endpoints. Mine seem to be set pretty good. So you got that. It's very, very responsive on the throttle. I don't know what else to say. But anyways, jump down in the description. Let me know what you guys think about this Radiolink controller. And if you want one, the link's in the description. Pick yourself up one. Next step is we're going to take this out and go crawling. I hope you guys enjoy this video. Stay tuned for the next one. Don't forget to like and subscribe. I'm Stitch, SK Hobbies AZ, and I'm out.